Welcome back to the WCS Oceania qualifiers here. It is our Challenger League Championship, and we are getting closer and closer to the final matches and crowning a champion, as well as finding our top 2 players to go through to WCS Yanchiping. I am here with Zeph, and we are about to go into a very exciting match.
Yeah, this is going to be a sick one. Seether versus Igus. Oh my god, what a rivalry these guys have in our scene. It's amazing. And they are back and forth, like 3-2 sort of scores out of these guys in best of fives.
Young blood up against the veteran. It's
always good, yeah.
The age-old story, right?
Yeah, it's really exciting. And I don't know who's going to win. I don't know if you have any insights with your big
I wish I had some, because these guys, they're so good, both of them, and I think the big question mark going into this tournament was we knew Iaguz was on fire right now. We know he's playing well, but he is facing off against Seether here, and we were a bit like, is Seether going to bring his A game? From what we've seen so far today, yeah, he's on fire. We haven't seen his TVT yet, but he has looked fantastic in his matches so far. Of course, he did take down Probe 2-0 in his semi-final. Iaguz also decisively defeating Crimson 2-0, but that was a TVP and a TVZ. And now going into a Terran versus Terran, I know there's going to be mind games. I know there's going to be a crazy action-packed early game, but I am just up in the air as you in terms of what this result is going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy, and both these guys have already, had a couple of players knocked out by them, and they're hoping to secure their seed now rather than later. In the lower bracket, we do have some of their victims. We see NXZ actually advancing over Demilove. That's a fantastic result for him. And Mighty Kiwi taking the 2-1 over Peppy. It is a bit of a ZVZ fest down there in the first round of the lower bracket for today. But in the next round, we still have 3 Zergs alive, but now Probe joins them.
Yep, and that's going to be a big barrier for those Zergs to get through, of course. A bit of a heartbreak for Demilove so far, falling. We saw he fell to Iaguz earlier. A tough draw in the round of 8, but then to fall to NXZ. But Zerg vs. Zerg is a fickle mistress. It's, a tough matchup to be very stable in. Of course, we've seen a lot of exciting matches so far. Mighty Kiwi did take a map off Seether in the round of 8 as well, but now both players going through to this upper bracket finals. It is a very important match. So for you guys who aren't familiar with double elimination formats, this is not the absolute grand finals, but the winner of this goes through to the grand finals. The loser will go down and play the losers finals, and of course the winner of that goes through to the grand finals, where the player who wins this next match, they basically have an extra life for the grand finals. They can afford to lose one best of 3 and still have another shot at going through in first place. Yeah,
and staying in that upper bracket's where you want to be, of course, is a lot more comfortable. And you have a lot better chance of not messing it up because, you have that little bit of a safety net. So really excited for this match, guys. Tell your friends on Twitter because we get some really good TVTs, very evenly matched players here.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because both Seether and Igus are players who historically have kind of built their career in Oceania being good at TVZ.
Yeah.
and here they are in a TVT, and this seems to keep happening because both of them are so good that they end up meeting at the top. I suppose Probe is the other one that quite often ends up in that top 4. The 4th person is...
It's a real change-up, isn't it, right?
Yeah.
Like, last year, we finally started seeing TVT finals in a lot of our events, and we were like, oh, this is different. It's not top 4, 3 of them being Zergs plus Iaguz. Okay.
Like, what?
And, I mean, I think Iaguz, he's been playing this matchup for years at big international tournaments. Seether, though, he stepped up his game in the second half of last year. He started showing he could really take Iaguz down when he was on fire. So, guys, let's hop into map number 1 on Ascension to Aya, spawning in the top left-hand side, representing OSC route. It is Iaguz.
And to the bottom right, his teammate, not teammate, oh my gosh, opponent, it's Seether.
I think there'd be a very fierce rivalry between these two if they were teammates nonetheless.
Man, it's just there's so many OSC root players.
I know, right?
I'm getting used to being like, yeah, this is his teammate. I'm actually not sure what team Seether's on at the moment. Is he on a team?
I believe he was played in a few different kind of teams casually for team leagues, but I'm not 100% sure. He's always got that Bear Me tag on his account. But whatever team he may be on right now, he's on Team YOLO Zeph, because we are seeing 2 proxied barracks right outside of Iaguz base, and I think we're going to see a 3 ranks Proxy Reaper, just a fast, hard-hitting, all-in attack. And Aigaz is only on 1 gas, so it's looking like Aigaz is just going to be doing a blind expand build. This could just be a free win for Seether. If he can catch the first Reaper of Aigaz and just spiral out of control, Aigaz is going to be in big trouble.
Oh man, that's dirty. I found a lot of the players in this tournament are actually throwing out a lot of cheeses, a lot of more aggressive, quick win type builds. And fair enough. I mean, this is the guy you need to beat quite often in these tournaments to qualify for the WCS Championships. So this is a smart move from Seether, and he's going to head in there with a bit of a poke.
It looks like it is just going to be a 2 racks Reaper, so not going to be dropping that 3rd barracks. Now, this is still a very heavy pressure, but it rarely kills your opponent. It's looking to do a lot of damage. But how much? Aigaz, his Reaper's coming out. Is he going to scout for this? Yes, he's heading south. Is he going to find it? He is. He sees the SCV in the Reaper, and immediately the hand has been shown. Aigaz, in panic mode, immediately runs home, throws down another depot. He's got a reactor building right there. He has to cancel it and start marine production, but already that natural command center being delayed. If Seether can get a cancel on that, that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and he's going to have to pull SCVs here to help fend off these Reapers. His own Reaper does go down here.
Great focus fire.
Very nicely done, and now it's just SCVs fighting for their lives here. A Marine pops out. It's going to help out a little bit, but he's still got to wait for a few more units to be able to start deflecting this. What?
Actually loses a Reaper there. Good micro from Aigaz here, and he's going to get the bunker up, and 1 Marine will be able to get into that. A couple of SCVs have gone down, but Seether really wants to find more damage. A Hellion is almost out. Behind this, Seether has not started any tech. He's just starting his factory back at home now. He's got to wait for these Reapers to heal up. And remember, guys, this map does not have a lot of jump-in paths. It's only this front side of the base. There's no jump-in on the back.
Exactly, and that's beautiful bunker placement from Aigaz, because it really makes it tough for him to hop up into that main base. And now with an extra couple of units, Aigaz is looking to save that CC from almost certain death. I mean, 4 Reapers will eventually get rid of that. He would desperately love to hold on to that, but no, it does get cancelled.
Great pressure here from Seether. He's going to go for the jump in. Wow, absolutely no fear on this kid. Gets both Marines. The Hellion almost goes down as well. The Hellion comes back in. The SCV is trying to zone, but that Hellion is so weak. A Marine comes forward as well. Seether's micro is impeccable. The Reaper grenades are so good at bouncing around. Finally, the Cyclone pops out, and that is going to corner these Reapers. Seether stayed just a little bit too long, but he's killed 8 SCVs in the process.
My goodness. Great hold from Aigaz, but he inevitably took a fair chunk of damage there. 9 worker kills in total in that second round there. No expansion. He did have to cancel that, so it is rebuilding. About halfway done now. See, this is a little bit behind, but he does have that worker lead.
Yeah, I think, I don't know why, I can just always hear Todd's voice in the back of there. Look at the supply, but you know, it's the worker supply more than anything.
Yeah.
Right now, Aigaz does have a big army lead. The barracks have just been floating home, and the bunker going up here is very smart from Seether. The question is, does he have anything to get in it? Does he even have a Reaper? Oh, he does have a single Reaper on this watchtower. So that's it. 1
hero Reaper to hold down the fort there. So yeah, I guess that's Aigaz's strong point here, is he can poke out on the map a little bit. He might even be able to like soft contain if he really wants to head out with most of his stuff, because he's about to have a medevac. He's got another Cyclone on the way.
Oh yeah, second medevac with Cyclones. A double Cyclone drop could be kind of scary. Oh, the Viking and the Cyclone combined. Going to do very well here. Oh, but actually staying locked onto the medevac did Seether there, prioritizing killing the medevac rather than focusing down the enemy Cyclone. He's going to lose his own Cyclone, but the SCV pull is good. The Viking land is good as well. It barely survives with a few hit points. A great hold from Seether.
Beautifully done, and that was not really worth it for Aigaz at all. He lost all those units. He does have a few more popping out now, and we'll see if he decides to head out with those, but he himself doesn't actually have a lot of stuff now. This is it, basically, these 4 units right here. But his command center has landed on the low ground, and he is beginning to mine from there. We'll see if he actually takes the watchtower if he pokes in there, because if Aigaz isn't home, he could actually get a couple more kills.
It's something where Aigaz, I think he's realizing he's got so few units out right now, and he's saying, I think I need to stay at home with this Cyclone and medevac, and probably a good choice. We'll be able to shut down this Reaper as it runs up that ramp. Not going to be able to see anything. And a 3rd CC on the way for Seether here. He's going to be going for Stim And yeah, really building up that economy, as well as Ravens on the way for both players. So, of course, these chaotic games, it's not unusual to see Banshees coming out with Cloak as a bit of a kind of delayed Banshee curveball, but both players playing very safe against that, and neither one really looking to pressure with their Ravens, just staying at home for the moment.
Yeah, Ravens really become a staple part of that early Terran composition. And we'll see if Aigus is actually able to get much done here. He's heading out just with the Cyclone and Medevac for a bit of an exploration mission. It does have to be a tad careful, of course, because Seether does have more or less a similar composition. He's got his own siege tanks out as well. So both players have a pretty good defensive capability at the moment. Siege Tank will shut down most things at this stage in the game, considering how little they have. But Aigus is heading straight into a third CC here. I think is a little bit behind Seethers. But it looks like this game's starting to sort of settle down and even out.
Absolutely. Both players really just wanting to macro on up now. And I feel like Aigus is the one who's probably a little bit more nervous here. You know, he was poking around that medevac, controlling the watchtowers. He wanted to see if anything was coming because he knows he's a little bit behind right now. He took a lot of SCV losses, whereas Seether here looks much more comfortable. He's like, yeah, I've got a Raven and some Vikings patrolling to stop any drops or Banshees. I've gone third CC. I've got upgrades on the way. He's working his way up to that sort of 5 barracks where he can build a huge amount of biotank medevac. And I think it's going to be a real story of Aigus trying to draw out the mid game and not take too much damage, but he's actually going to be pushing out right now with a bit of a tank push, maybe seeing if he can find a good angle to siege up here.
Yeah, we'll see how he goes. I mean, this is a deceptively formidable force with a couple of Ravens. It makes it that much harder to engage. These couple of Cyclones going to be found out here. Does grab himself a quick kill, but that third base is going to have to take a second.
Seether was about to move out with a double drop there, so it was like, okay, good thing that he hadn't actually gotten halfway across the map there, or he wouldn't really have had a lot to defend this. Aigus, though, oh, Stim is finished for Seether right now. I think Seether might just jump on top of this, but no, actually move commands in there. Does siege up now. Auto turrets on both sides going to start to go down. Both players just taking their time with this, a little bit tentative about engaging. Of course, if you stim forward into tanks without combat shields, your Marine's going to disappear real fast. Seether's going to go for it. Auto turrets dropping all over the ground. The auto turrets from Aigus are good. His siege tank's dealing massive damage. But in the end, I think those stim Marines are just a little bit too much, and Seether defends the third, pushes Aigus back.
Yeah, he certainly does. Aigus just not quite up to par with his army there. He does save medevac full of units and a couple of Ravens, so at least he didn't lose those super expensive A units. And once his third base out, you could probably think about taking that soon. Just continuing with the siege tank production. Marine Stim is almost finished for him. Quite a bit delayed behind Seethers, but not really a problem.
This Viking going out just at the right time to at least get a little bit of warning, but this is a very powerful drop. Oh no, the Viking has just missed it. It's going to catch it, but no, it's not even going to see it at all. The units are going to have so much time to siege up, and Aigus is nowhere near being in position to deal with this.
No, it's no! You're kidding, he gets the stim, that's huge! Aigus is going to have so much trouble cleaning this up. I didn't think that that would hit before he actually gets stim, but Aigus is in so much trouble now, he can't quite close the distance here, and Seether mops up that Marine army. There's a single siege tank in the main, and he does hop on out of there, just leaves the siege tank to die, but oh my gosh, that was a crazy good hit.
Yeah, Aigus realizes just how big that is. Losing Stim, he was already behind in economy, and then you're just kind of like, hey, I've got 1-1 combat shield Marines and 20 less workers than you. Understandable GG from Aigus, and really just a fantastic opening from Seether. He said, you're not going to scout, you're just going to expand blind, and he took a big advantage with those Reapers. Yeah,
a really well chosen build from Seether. Got a good lead in the early game, and I can't believe that stim denial. I'm thinking to myself, like, oh yeah, by the time anything happens, he'll have stim. Nope, like in the last 10 seconds. How brutal.
Every Terran knows that feeling. It's just like so sad, you know, you're like, I'm about to finally have mobility. All these Marines, all these upgrades are about to be worth it. And it always hinges on that stim upgrade. And when that's gone, you just kind of throw your hands in the air and go, what do I do? Do I wait another 2.5 minutes to get one of these, or do I just throw in the towel? And in that case, of course, there were a lot of edges that Seether built up throughout that game. And I am impressed so far. Seether, he took out Probe 2-0. Now he's here a game up on Aiguz in the winners finals. He's doing so well today.
Yeah, he is doing fantastically. And I think the thing that's always really stood out for me with Seether is that he is fantastic with his multitask. And Aiguz is more like that macro god in my mind as well. But it's interesting because they both have like these different selling points, and when they clash, it just makes it all the more interesting. Although that game in the early game, you know, we didn't get to see any of that come into it. It was just straight up like he was like, I'm gonna do this because I know there's a gap in your play here. And
he was so decisive with it as well, wasn't he? Like, I was like, oh, the bunker's up. Like, I thought Aiguz was just fine, and then the 4 Reapers like, no, we're just gonna jump up here where the bunker isn't and focus down the units. He was so precise, pulling back the weakened Reapers, focusing the Marines and Hellions. So I am very curious to see how it goes from here, because I like what you said. These guys have those different styles. Aiguz, I think a lot of classic StarCraft fans will remember Bomber. Yeah. Aiguz used to love Bomber, and I think you can still see a lot of elements of Bomber in his play.
Certainly can.
Seether's like the more classic, modern, like maybe Beyond inspired or TY inspired Terran. It's a lot of multitasking, a lot of aggression. Much more mechanical, I would say, in terms of trying to kind of throw his opponent off balance. But Aiguz is always going to be the defender. He's going to be the macro guy. He's going to be a very front-on focused player.
Absolutely. Very keen for this next map. I do hope Aiguz can put a point on the board, because I want this full best of 3 out of these guys. But let's get into it on Proxima Station now. In the top right, he's blue. He's Aiguz.
Representing OSC Root, of course, is Aiguz. And facing off against him down here, the player who is looking so good this tournament, it is Seether.
I think Seether's due for a qualification or something. I want to see this guy out there, because he is just getting better and better. I think last season he didn't do so well, but he's definitely back in action this time.
Yeah, I mean, he was really struggling against Protoss last season. Did get knocked out by a couple of Protoss players, but he's turned that around. He's shown, yeah, he had to do some cheeky builds against Pro, but sometimes that's what you got to do when you know, a matchup just isn't doing that well for you. You got to pull out something to throw your opponents off, and he did that very well.
Yeah, win's a win, however you get it. And he's looking very good, poised to take this series on match point. And I bet he would love to close it out with that 2-0, because you don't want to go to the 1-1. It's a little bit more of a high-pressure situation for you, but he does have that fallback, so he can go into this a little bit more relaxed. And this time, his racks are actually in his base, so that's a good start. For Aiguz, at least.
Should slow things down in the early game here. Yeah. No chance of Reapers massacring his mineral lines. And of course, this is an interesting map, Proxima Station, as it's very hard to assault each other with your generic attack forms, but things like proxy banshees, things like drops are very powerful, because there's so much dead space around those bases, lots of angles to come in from. But we can already see that difference we were both talking about between the players. Aiguz did delay his gas a little bit more, going for the you know, faster sort of expand into Marines. Whereas Seether has kind of gone for a much more standard gas first expand. He's got out an early Reaper. He's gone for the faster factory. He's going to be going up into that second gas, that tech, much earlier on. So Seether most likely going to be the one taking the sort of aggressive momentum here.
Yeah, for sure. I think that is definitely his strength as well. Gotta be a tad careful with this Reaper, buddy.
Oh!
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was maybe didn't quite register that depot was there. Thought he was just going to drop the grenade and get out of there, but Seether, unfortunately, losing that Reaper for free, is going to be going for a Hellion and a Starport behind this. And so far, this is how Aiguz likes his games to look. He makes a nice fast command center. He defends with a minimal number of units, and now he's even going to push out with 4 Marines. I think he's just going to sit them on the high ground and hope to receive any Hellion or Cyclone that runs across the map, and hopefully pick up another free kill.
Yeah, and he may very well do so. He's got another couple to come join that line of defense, and there's Seether's Hellion rolling out right on time.
Aiguz, if he gets a free Hellion here as well, this is such a great start, but no, Seether's going to stop and patrol just a little bit away over there. So all things are okay for both players so far. We are going to see a Cyclone on the way for Aiguz as well. Wants to be very safe and solid on the front. And Seether is going to be going into that Raven.
Yep, and a mine there coming out as well. We've got a Liberator actually coming out for Aiguz after this. So he's got a good little force happening here with a Medevac instead, actually.
Okay, so looks like Actually going to look for a little push here as well is Igaz. I believe there's a Widow Mine out at home for Seether, so he should be able to defend his own ramp with that, but Igaz going to be doing a little bit of aggressive pressure, and he can follow that up with a Cyclone drop in the back of the base, and Seether will need to really be on point to defend this. He hasn't built any Cyclones of his own. He just lost his Hellion.
Ouch.
He's going to be very reliant on his Marines being in the correct positions.
Yeah. All right, there we go. He loads that up. It'll path down towards Seether's base in just a moment. And Igaz having killed those 2 scouting units, you know, Seether's just got to kind of wait for this to come. He can't really see where it will be. Obviously, coming up the front there is the main attack path, which is why he's got that mine on the ramp.
This is really dangerous. You know, this is basically just Marines. If that Widow Mine doesn't get a killer shot, the auto turrets can be evaded quite easily. There's no siege tank, there's no Cyclone, the Hellion went down. This is a great attack from Igaz, dropping in the back, already 3 SCVs falling, and as the force pulls back, he's going to attack on the front as well. Good Widow Mine shot, weakens the Cyclone, but he's already starting to lose structures, evades the auto turret, saves all the units in the back, and the reactor's starting to go down on the front. Igaz starting to find the damage here.
He certainly is. Auto turret comes down, does nail a couple of Marines in the face, but at the back, he's still doing damage. There's a lot of lost mining time as he's pulled off the mineral line there, and these Marines in the main are still alive. I can't believe this medevac is still living as well. He's going to pick up an extra couple of kills potentially here in the main base before getting cleaned up.
Oh, Igaz is making Seether feel like a Protoss player right now. There's just drops coming in from all sides. Terran units being so annoying there, and Igaz picks up a good amount of SCV kills, takes the worker lead, and really wastes a lot of mining time. And, you know, you might look at the worker count, the supply, and say it's pretty even, but the real story is told in the infrastructure. The 3rd command center already halfway to an orbital. 2nd and 3rd barracks almost finished for Igaz. Seether's only on 1 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport right now. So his production is way behind, his infrastructure is way behind Igaz's.
Yeah, that's rough. Beautiful attack there from Igaz. Well controlled as well. Some of those units were so low. And he really got the maximum out of them. So his army will ramp up a little bit quicker than Seether's having that extra production. And he's still, you know, keeping an eye out on the map, sending a Marine or 2 out here to just check on the common paths of movement for Seether. So it's kind of like, what does Seether actually do here to try and you know, regain a little bit of ground?
It's going to be interesting to see what his choice is. Looks like double engineering bay on the way, and I guess since he already had the 3rd command center down, there really is only one choice, at least for the immediate moment, which is try and defend, and I guess he's going to do a little bit of Raven pressure, try and pick off a few SCVs, keep Igaz on his toes, and hopefully survive to a little bit later in the game. But Igaz has got that upgrade lead, he's got the army lead, and now with his 3rd landed at the same time, he's looking very healthy. It's on these Ravens to get a little bit of damage done, Zeph.
Yeah, and he should be able to pick off a couple of SCVs at the very least. Ravens are so good, they almost always do damage.
Oh, yeah. Actually didn't focus fire in the main there, so didn't quite get an SCV there, but 4 SCVs in the back, and another auto turret in the back as well. Good harassment there from Seether, wasting a lot of mining time. 6 SCVs go down, make that 7. Not a bad bit of damage. Igaz, in annoyance, says, oh, all right, you're going to do that to me. Sends his Ravens out as well. And I think it's going to be a little bit of tit for tat. But hopefully, if Seether is a little bit better prepared for this, then he may be able to shut it down a bit more decisively.
Yeah, I think he may very well do so. He's kind of got his units in a good position, similarly set up with the siege tanks as well, so they will shell away at those auto turrets. But we'll see how Igaz goes. He's looking for vengeance for his fallen SCV brethren. And we go, oh gosh, gotta be careful with those Marines though.
Not actually watching. 1 Raven falls almost immediately. Only going to get a single SCV there and a Marine or 2. He's going to go and try to drop some turrets in the other base. That turret will find a good amount of damage. So Igaz gets something out of the situation, but not quite as much as he was looking for.
No, losing that Raven is a bit of a shame, but not to worry. He also has a Viking out now. In fact, he's going straight into Viking production, so he will have that air superiority.
And that auto turret just going to pick off a few Marines there. And that Raven should just barely escape, I believe. Both players trading blows. Aiga's still maintaining a small worker lead, but overall in supply, Seether on point. His macro has been quite good, and both players are going to stabilize in this 3-base sort of situation. Aiga's actually had a big upgrade lead, which was his main advantage earlier, but he forgot his armory in the midst of this Raven chaos, and his armory only being halfway done means his 2-2's being delayed a long time. Now, I'm not sure if Seether has remembered his armory. He might have forgotten it as well amidst all this action. So, yeah, it looks like both players' 2-2 is going to be quite delayed. Going to be playing on 1-1 for an extended period.
Yeah, that's for sure. I guess we'll be a little bit ahead on those upgrades if he starts that 2-2 immediately after that finishes. But he's looking for damage. He's ready to move out here, although Seether is the first one to siege up with the tank on the front line there. The Marines aren't in a good position for Aigas either.
Not a bad engagement here for Seether. Both players don't have combat shields, so the Marines are very fragile. But a good engage from Seether.
Oh!
Wow!
Oh, no!
That Widowmine shot, oh my gosh, all those Marines were damaged from the stim, from the skirmish, and the Widowmine shot right as they ball up. Oh, a disaster there for Aigas. And Seether, he is going for a very decisive push now. He says, okay, I just took out a lot of your units. It's time to push my advantage. Let's do this. He's up 20 supply, even after that very dangerous early game. Seether coming back into it. Missile turret shuts down the Raven. Aigas is in a lot of trouble right now.
Oh, he's in a huge spot of bother. There's more tanks for Seether, more units. And he's going to be putting on the pressure hard here. There's a 4th base coming up for Seether as well behind this. He's looking so good. That engagement was just incredible. Can he find a position to run up this ramp? It's hard to get into this area because you're going through a choke or up a ramp.
And 2-2 still hasn't started for Aigas, Zeph. It's something he's just forgotten. He was doing that push, and 2-2 +1 vehicle weapons has all started for Seether. Seether's already got a planetary up on his 4th. Aigas is going to go for the gold base, which will help him out, but ooh, nice little stim forward there from Aigas. Almost gets the Ravens. Seether looking for an angle, but Aigas' sensor towers, his missile turrets, his unit placement, looking very solid. A lot of players might have just fallen apart after they lost all those Marines in that push, but Aigas has just stopped Seether's attempts to gain position. Seether's still marauding around the map looking for an angle, but he hasn't found any easy opening yet.
No, not yet. And 2-2 finally does start for Aigas, although it is considerably far behind Seether's now. And he's going to try and get a few kills here with this cheeky Cyclone. I like this move. He will be able to pick up a couple of kills.
Very annoying there, actually. And just forcing some actions out of Seether when he's very busy trying to set up his late game infrastructure. He's trying to find that opening with his main army. And Aigas is actually looking to push out on the map. Seether's army in a bit of an awkward position, kind of cut off from its reinforcements. This could be a fantastic flank, but it comes down to, is he aware of where his opponent's army is? I don't know if both players know what's happening right now. Aigas is going to pounce on top of him. Seether's entire army out of position. Oh no, this is a disaster. Every single siege tank goes down.
Oh my goodness, what a fantastic engagement for Aigas. He takes out almost all the siege tanks. He almost gets this last medevac here with all those Marines in it. And now Seether's army is in tatters. Look at the army supply difference here. And Aigas, he's going for the big drop in the main. Wow. There's nothing here to contest him.
So decisive. Aigas not wanting to let the younger player come and upset him here. He's just saying, nah, I am going to jump straight into that main base, takes out all of the infrastructure instantly. The barracks are falling. The command center is going to go down. There's no easy way for Seether to break this. His own buildings are actually choking up his units, so there's just no way for him to clear out this sieged up push of Aigas.
He's going to lose all his production unless he moves forward. Surely he does on siege. He wants to go for it, but he's funneled through 2 chokes, and it's carnage here on the front lines.
Those Marines trapped behind each other. They're all getting just smashed by the siege tanks, and even if Aigas has barely cleaned this up, he's lost so much for it. Aigas frantically trying to rebuild depots, trying to get his Seether, trying to rebuild depots and get his infrastructure back up, but Aigas already pushing towards the 4th base and just picking his opponent apart. Aigas playing so well right now.
Yeah, an incredible engagement. Flips this match on his head when he was looking on the ropes for so long. And more reinforcements coming in, and Seether's just kind of rallying his Marines into the siege line, hoping to kill bits and pieces of Aigas' army. No longer mining on the 4th base of Seether, and that is it. Aigas takes game number 2.
GG, what an action-packed game. The back and forth there. Both players taking turns, taking advantages, and the other player finding a way back into it constantly.
Yeah, that was that was a beautiful TVT. That was a lot of fun, and that is exactly what I picture when I think Aigis versus Seether. It's just these crazy games, both of them throwing each other off balance, forcing mistakes out of each other more than anything else. I think that's really what happened there. We saw missed upgrades, we saw unfortunate Widowmine shots, and not paying attention to Ravens, and all kinds of things going on. That made really exciting TVT.
That Widowmine, I really hope someone clipped that, because that was just like, oh, I mean, it's just so, normally the Widowmine splash, it doesn't really kill that many Marines, but they were like perfectly clumped, and they were all weakened from like stim, and it was like, oh, this is like the perfect situation for Seether, so bad for Aigis. And I mean, even just the little moves, that Cyclone came in behind the 4th base, and remember, that was the moment where Seether kind of lost track of his position on the map. And right after that, his army's like, oh, we should probably come home. And he's like, oh, runs into the back of Aigis' army. Aigis just jumps on top of him, cleans it up, and suddenly the game is topsy-turvy once again.
Yeah, oh man. Stars really aligned for the players on that one in terms of Widowmine shots and stimming an army into a whole lot of unsieged tanks. I mean, that's kind of the dream
Let's
when
hope for a game 3 just like that one. Yes. Maybe even longer, maybe even more drawn out. Wouldn't mind seeing like super late game TVT, but very scrappy and messy. I'm very curious to see what map we'll be going into next, because I mean, so far it's just been action-packed chaos, and I have a feeling it's probably going to be maybe Odyssey in this last map, but I'd love to see one of the stranger maps. You know, when you've got a mirror matchup, sometimes both players are like, he's probably going to veto Blood Boil, so I won't veto it. And then neither player wants to veto it. You end up with one of these kind of strange maps, and it's not like either player's advantaged on it, but we're just not used to what we're going to see in TVT on that matchup.
Yeah,
so very excited to see what we're going to get.
A little uncomfy or something. And hopefully we get a straight-up game, because I'm in agreement. I want a long 3rd game out of these guys. It's just so much fun to watch. And whoever wins this is going to be moving on to the grand finals, and they're going to be feeling real good about that.
Oh, yeah. This last map is what it comes down to secure that top 3 spot and to be very, very close to qualifying for WCS Yanchiping. And it looks like, oh my, it is going to be one of those crazy maps spawning in here on Defender's Landing in the bottom left-hand side. It is Seether.
In the top right, representing OSC Root, he is Aigis.
So excited to see what these players bring out here on Defender's Landing. The new Paladino terminal, the new Dasan station, the new rush map in the pool, the one that people on ladder love to whine about. But hey, it's a mirror matchup. It's fair, it's balanced, and it is a very interesting map. There's a lot of choke points, a lot of cliffs, a lot of destructible rocks, and already it looks like both players are going to be opening up with a nice, fast double gas. Very aggressive opening for both players. However, Aigis, interestingly, started his gases a little bit later, so might be squeezing an expansion in just before going for his factory.
Yeah, that's a little bit more Aigis style, I feel. He doesn't mind doing things just a tad later if he can squeeze that extra bit of resources out of his workers or something like that. So we'll see what comes of this. The Reaper is already on the way for Aigis here.
And a second depot on the way for Aigis immediately. So yeah, okay, looks like both players will be going for the kind of one basey factory play. And yeah, very aggressive map. I would not be surprised to see a lot more Cyclones in Medivacs.
Yeah.
And that's just like your very mobile, very hard-hitting way to make sure your opponent stays honest in the matchup while keeping yourself very safe. The Cyclone's such a good multi-purpose unit, does well versus just about everything, even has a little bit of anti-air. Not a lot, but a little bit. So it can help out in just about any situation.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that about early game TVT. It does end up in those little scrappy engagements, sometimes only 4 or 5 units, if that. And that can sometimes determine the outcome of the rest of the game. Both Reapers have gone past each other, taken opposite routes.
Aiga's Reaper is faster than you'd normally expect because he has gone Barracks Gas rather than Gas first. So he comes in here and actually completely surprises Seether. Seether's Reaper only just got to the other side of the map. So the timing on this actually gives Aiga's a really nice little edge. Seether's Reaper gets in, there's already a Reaper there to defend. Aiga's delays the starport, does a little bit of damage, gets a bit of scouting, and just takes a nice advantage. So great build choice so far from Aiga's.
Yeah, didn't actually quite get to kill that SCV on the starport, unfortunately. That would have been nice, but yes, it's alive with like 1 health. But a bit of a scrappy skirmish there. He does get out with one of the Reapers, but nice pickup from Seether.
Hellion doing a good job there. Cyclone production has started up for Aiga's. He's got 1 out, which is going to be able to bully Seether off this map if he does so choose. And it is going to be Ravens for both players by the looks of it. Neither player wanting to try to risk going for something like a Banshee yet. Both players just playing very safe. Cyclone, Raven, TVT. And it looks like Aiga's is going to be the first one to drop that command center. And as I say, no one's going to go for Ravens. For Banshees, sorry. Aiga's actually starts up a Banshee. I'd love to see a cloak upgrade here. Keep that momentum going.
Yeah, we'll see if he decides to go down that path. But at the very least, you know, it's good offensively and defensively. There's not a lot that shoots up at this point. Seether follows suit with his own command center there on the low ground. And having that Raven, you know, he will have detection if cloak was a thing. And he will have some harassment capability there as well.
Just poking around his Seether, using the mobility of his units. He can't take on the Cyclones in a pitched battle with Hellion Reaper, but he can dance around them, potentially bounce them back and forth with his grenades. And with his own Cyclones coming out, he's going to hopefully be able to defend this. But yeah, the Banshee's actually just coming for a frontal push. So we're going to see a Cyclone Reaper Banshee frontal poke from Aiga's, looking to do some damage, and this could work very well since the only anti-air here for Seether is a single Viking about to pop and the auto turret.
Yeah, it's going to be a little tricky. I think Seether has definitely enough to defend, but he's got to find... Oh, gosh, he's so close to seeing the Banshee, and he does. Is Aiga's able to save that? Yeah, he's going to run out of there. The Viking does turn around back home. Aiga's still sort of looking for where he might be able to poke in here. He's got 3 Cyclones in the mix now as Seether starts to saturate that natural base. In just a moment, it is finished.
3 Cyclones versus 2, but there are more Hellions and Reapers here on Seether's side. Aiga's realizes he can't take this push. Actually fighting in a terrible position. Loses 1 Cyclone instantly. He does get 1 good Reaper grenade to buy time. Seether, though, is saying, you know what? I know I've got the advantage now. I've got 3 Cyclones. I've got 1 of yours down. I'm going to counter push. Aiga's... Is he going to be able to hang on against this? Both players with very similar forces, tied neck and neck in workers. This fight, if someone takes a good edge here, they're going to be able to run away with this game.
Yeah, and Seether does have a little more buffer on the ground. I think auto turret goes down for Seether, and Aiga's has actually taken a huge beating here. SCVs come off the line, and he evacuates that base. Oh, in fact, he just sacrifices the SCVs. He needs the buffer. Seether looking so good here. Still got 3 Cyclones alive.
That Banshee did a lot of work, but those Cyclones, once the ground units are gone, they just switch on that anti-air, blast it down. 14 workers have already gone down. The Raven comes in here. It can drop an auto turret the moment Aiga's tries to engage. It does so, and it just massive damage here for Seether. Great defense. From that early game stage, just building plenty of Cyclones here. Aiga seemed to have already swapped out. He built extra barracks, he started building siege tanks, but he just wasn't quite prepared for this push. Seether committing to this early game stage a little bit longer, building a few more units, and now he's got an almost game-ending lead for himself. This is going to be so hard for Aiga's to climb his way out.
Yeah, see, there's almost 20 workers up at this point, and the Cyclones do live. He's going to flush him out of his base, but the damage is being done. Aiga's is quite behind there in the economy at the very least. The army also taking a few hits. All those juicy factory units from the early game are basically gone. He's relying on that siege tank for the defense. And Seether's got to be feeling pretty comfy moving into the mid-game here. He's got his own siege tank on the front line now as well.
Very ballsy push there from Seether. Throws down the auto turret in the mid. Somehow, both of these Cyclones are still alive. What the hell, Zeph? How? How is this? One has got 8 hit points. The other one's got also 8 hit points. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Apparently these Cyclones just don't die.
Oh my goodness. And 23 kills between them too. You can take those home, repair them, and they can come back for even more kills later on. 3rd CC going down for Seether, knowing that he is in such an amazing spot. It's really his game to lose at this point because Aiga's is clawing his way back any way he can.
This is the awkward thing about Defender's Landing. It's different to other maps. It's so small. Your reinforcements get across there so quickly. I think Seether actually played the map a little bit better than Iagas in terms of realizing, you know what, you just have to keep building these units, and you need to kind of build them to keep you safe. And then if your opponent doesn't pressure you, you go pressure them. And Seether was so decisive. He was like, wait a second, I have a few more units than you. He dropped the auto turrets like instantly. Aiga's Cyclones kind of got trapped once or twice on awkward angles. And Seether just has taken a really big lead for that. So if Aiga's had maybe another 20, 30 seconds to get out a few more Marines, get out a Siege Tank, this game looks entirely different. But this is Defenders Landing TVT. It's about those split seconds in the early game. You can't rush up. You can't be greedy here.
Exactly, you said it from the get-go. This is an aggressive map. That's just how it plays, and Seether has absolutely done a good job here. Aigas did also take a moment to try and knock down those rocks when the first push came, and that allowed Seether a bit more damage there. Seether wants to come in again. He knows he's got a decent force. He knows Aigas is trying to recover, but it is a little bit harder to position there when your opponent has siege tanks out as well.
Ooh, that's a lot of Marines and Vikings here, and tanks for Aigas. He's got like the same army supply, but Stim's just kicked in, +1's about to kick in. Seether, if he can get a good angle with maybe a surround, a Stim on top of this is going to be fantastic. I don't know if Aigas, I think he has Stim and shield, so his Marines are actually quite powerful right now. And the Vikings and the Raven doing a fantastic job. Great siege up here, going to control this ramp. Aigas takes a fantastic position. The SCV is being forced off the line by Seether. His units choked up on the ramp a little bit, but it looks like he has just barely enough numbers. There's Cyclone flanking as well from behind, and he's going to be able to crush that push.
GG, Seether takes it, moves on with the 2-1. Once again, proving that he is a TVT master when it comes to facing Aigas. Beautifully done.
He has just changed and evolved so much as a player recently. You know, Seether, he had a tough run last season. There were, you know, certain people saying he was washed up on social media.
Oh,
and
gosh.
he is out here proving to everyone that there is no way that is the case. He has gone through to the upper finals, through to the grand finals now. He has defeated Probe 2-0. He's defeated Aigas 2-1. Who can possibly stand in his way? He has already just, you know, absolutely shown he is destroying it. He is kicking butt right now.
Yep, that's good. That's great. I want to see Seether get out there. I hope that he does continue this performance because he is looking brilliant. But guys, we will have to dip down to the lower brackets to see who might claw their way back up. All these victims from our usual top 3 battling it out down there to see who is going to survive. So guys, don't go away. We'll be back with more StarCraft shortly.